Hexwood is a 1993 fantasy science fiction novel for young adults. It is by British author Diana Wynne Jones. The book was dedicated to author Neil Gaiman, who later wrote a poem about the honor and gave it to her. Plot summary: the sector controller, who is responsible for overseeing Earth, among other worlds, receives a message that tells him that a mysterious machine called the Banus has been activated at Hexwood Farm Estate near London by the man who was responsible for maintaining the facility. Somehow, the Banus has trapped both the man and an entire maintenance team inside the estate. Following instructions in case of such an accident, the sector controller sends a message to the Rainers, the 5 people who rule the galaxy. In a wood, an amnesiac boy meets an android. The android, who is called Yam, tells him that his name is Hume, because he is a human. In a small village near London, a teenage girl, Anne Stavely, recovers from a serious fever. While ill, she talks with the 4 voices in her head: the king, the prisoner, the boy, and the slave. Through her window, she witnesses some mysterious comings and goings at nearby Hexwood Farm Estate. A van, with a symbol like a pair of unbalanced scales on the side, pulls up and people go in, but they do not come out again. After many different people go in, but none come out, Anne becomes curious, and is determined to find out more. The next day, greatly recovered, she explores the tiny woods beside Hexwood Farm. When she enters it, she finds that the woods have expanded, and she encounters a futuristic chamber with a famished, exceptionally tall and skeletal man, Mordian Agenos, inside. He claims he has been asleep for centuries, but Anne knows she saw him enter Hexwood Farm just a few days ago. Mordian creates a boy from a pool of his and Anne's mingled blood, and sends him off on his own into the woods. The boy appears to be Hume, who we have already met in Chapter 1. Anne is horrified by Mordian's callous attitude and tells him that he must look after Hume. After all, he created him, and visits Mordian and Hume several times in the woods over the next few days. While she is in her own town, she and her brother see more and more people appearing to enter Hexwood Farm Estate, and still none ever emerge. During one of her visits to Mordian and Hume, she helps Hume recover Yam from what looks like a future ruined Hexwood Farm, where they encounter and escape from armored men armed with crossbows. Yam then tells Mordian, Anne, and Hume that they are all in the field of the Banus, which warps time and space in order to run scenarios for some mysterious purpose. This is why things seem to be happening out of order. Later, we meet the 5 Rainers, tyrants who have ruled the galaxy for over 1,000 years. They are very concerned about the Banus, which, before they seized power, was used to pick new Rainers. Regna 2 and the Rainer's servant have disappeared while trying to deactivate the Banus. The remaining Rainers go to Earth to turn off the Banus, but they too get caught in the Banus's field of influence, forget who they are, and find themselves in the huge forest, which is somehow the little wood beside Hexwood Farm. When Regna 1 and Regna 3 come to Earth, they take a girl from one of the major guild houses as a luggage-carrying assistant. This assistant, Vieran of House Guarantee, is a young woman in her 20s who considers herself a friend of the Rainer's servant, Mordian Agenos. The Banus, a cyborg designed to pick new Rainers, who the current Rainers cheated and locked away, is playing with the minds of all the characters and running scenarios in order to determine who the next 5 Rainers should be, while getting his revenge on the current Rainers. The Banus has confused several of the characters as to who they are in order to run these scenarios. Vieran and Anne turn out to be different representations of the same person, Vieran of the House of Guarantee. Mordian Agenos is the Rainer's servant, and by looking after Hume, is making up for when he was a child and failed to protect other children in the Rainer's care. Hume turns out to be Merlin, and Anne's brother is discovered to be Fitela, a dragon slayer mentioned in Beowulf. Yam, in a cunning twist, turns out to be the Banus itself. By getting Mordian to repair him, he was returning himself to full power. Several other characters in the book turn out to be other legendary figures of note. The Rainers all get their comeuppance, and Mordian and Viren are selected by the Banus to be 2 of the 5 new Rainers. Principal characters. Characters' true identity is shown in bold. Mordian Agenos, the Rainer's servant, known to his voices as the Slave, later appointed as first Regna, and Stavely, Viren of the House of Guarantee, known to her voices as the Girl Child, later the second Regna. Hume Martellian Penda, also known as Merlin of Arthurian legend, known to his voices as the Prisoner, later third Regna. Sir Artegel, Arthur Pendragon, aka King Arthur, known to his voices as the King, later fourth Regna. Martin Stavely, Anne's brother, actually Fitela Wolfson, a dragon slayer who briefly appears in Beowulf, and a descendant of Merlin. Hume, known to his voices as the Boy, and later the fifth Regna. Yam, the Banus, a machine designed to make sure that the process of selection of the Rainers would be absolutely fair. The Dragon Ormpenda, the original Regna 1. King Ambetas, the original Regna 2. Morgan Latre, the original Regna 3. Sir Fors, Regna 4. Sir Harrison Scudamore, the new and unpleasant owner of Hexwood Farm Estate. He is the one who actually started the Banus running again, in order to play a role-playing game, preferably involving hobbits on a Grail quest. Lady Sylvia, Ciri, of the House of Guarantee, Viren's cousin. Reception. It received mostly positive reviews. Kirkus called it an elaborate, fascinating, and superbly crafted adventure. School Library Journal praised it for its knife-sharp prose, and for being a marvelously mind-stretching book, while Booklist said it was a satisfying tale, and that the action is fast-paced, the mysterious circumstances are compelling, and there's even a nice bit of humor. Books for Keeps were more non-committal, noting simply that it would need a doughty readership, describing the novel as a demanding read with page after page of challenging ideas. But Publishers Weekly were critical of the novel due to its muddled narrative and confusing finale.